Over the past century, the English language has become quite the force to be reckoned with. This language has become extremely widespread around the world and has been used to communicate interculturally in things such as research, trade, sports, and the internet. And so, with the rise in the English language, has also risen the demand and the need for people to learn this language. In countries across the world, the demand has just become huge for people to come in and to teach English as a foreign language. So this profession of teaching English as a foreign language has become extremely popular. And now the demand is just unreal for people to go and teach people English around the world. But with this rise in English as a language all around the world and as teaching English as a profession, has also come the rise in controversy over teaching English abroad. And so basically, people believe that teaching English can be imperialistic. Now, imperialism, this is a huge word, but basically it is very simple in that it means that the language, when it is taught in other countries, it imposes on their culture, and it is very negative, and it diminishes from people's opportunities and their ability to thrive with their own language and their own culture. And so basically today, I would like to take a look at why people think that English is imperialism and in what ways they think so. And then I'd also like to take a look at ways that we can combat that. And as teachers of English, if we choose to go globally to teach English in other places, ways that we can avoid being imperialistic without teaching English. And so I looked through a great deal of research and was able to narrow it down to 3 main ways that people think that English is imperialistic. And so the first would be that it imposes Western culture on other cultures and doesn't allow people to thrive with their own culture. And basically this stems from colonialism. And when Britain colonized different countries, they seriously imposed their belief systems, their values, their traditions. They imposed them on other cultures and said that basically when we come in, you have to believe what we believe. You have to follow our religion, all of these things. And so now people still have this view that when people are teaching English, that they're doing the same. And sometimes this is very legitimate. This is very true. But there are also ways in which this can not be true. Teachers can avoid this imperialism by allowing people to incorporate English into their local vernacular. And so basically people will continue to speak their own language, but then they will incorporate different words from the English language in different phrases. And this will allow them to thrive and still know English and be able to communicate cross-culturally, but then also keep their own language. This is very controversial, but it is definitely one way that this can be done. Another way is by when teachers go into another country, they can teach their students to use English to think critically and actually use it to rise above the dominion of other cultures. And one way in which this has been shown in research is in India, when Christian missionaries came in and they used English to convert people to Christianity, there were some Indians who used English. They took the language that could have been dominating and they used it to convert the people back to Hinduism. So this is just one example, but there are many ways that people can actually use English to avoid being dominated by other cultures and by Western culture. And finally, teachers can include their cultural content while teaching. So they can include cultural references and different ways to actually encourage people to embrace their culture, but still use English. And so essentially teachers just need to be very culturally aware when they go to teach English as a foreign language. So this is the first way that people think that English is imperialistic. But another way is that they believe that English actually diminishes local languages and hinders the language of the people that they're going in to teach. And so this has been proven to be true in some instances. For example, Berber, which is a language in North Africa, has diminished greatly and is in danger of extinction. Continually, Gaelic in Ireland and Scotland has diminished incredibly. And so there are some smaller languages that are at risk of English or of being diminished because of the English language. And this is a huge risk because if the language is lost, then along with it comes the culture, the history with that language. And so this is definitely something to be wary of when teaching English as a foreign language. Fortunately, languages such as Chinese, Portuguese, Spanish, these are not at risk at all of losing any grounds, but it definitely is important that teachers are aware to encourage both languages. And so ways that teachers can avoid the diminishing of local languages is by promoting the Indigenous language and actually encouraging their students to speak their Indigenous language just as much as they speak English. Continually, teachers should be able to develop bilingual programs that don't just impose English on the student, but they also encourage them to speak their native language just as much. And so this is definitely a huge way, the bilingual program, that teachers can avoid diminishing local languages. So this is our second point and way that people think that teaching English can be imperialistic. And our final point is that people believe that English promotes social stratification. Social stratification, another big word. Basically what that means is that English is promoting the rich to become richer and the poor to become poorer, and is just increasing that gap between the two social classes. And basically, currently today, a lot of times only the wealthy class, only the upper class has the opportunity to learn English, which just enhances their ability to engage globally and just enhances their opportunities that they have. And then the lower class oftentimes does not have the opportunity to learn English. They don't have the funds or the resources. And so this just greatly increases the divide between the two. And so a way that teachers can combat that and help fight that increase in social stratification is by making sure, by actually looking at the access paradox. And so what this paradox is it says that in order to fight this dominance of English, we actually need to teach English more, which doesn't make sense initially, hence the term paradox. But basically when you take a look at it, it means that in order to fight this divide, we need to make sure that English is universalized and that everybody has an equal chance to learn it. And so as teachers, we should go in and we should make sure that not only the wealthy have the opportunity to learn English, but the lower class do as well. And this can be done through bilingual programs, such as what we discussed earlier. It can be addressed through proper training to teachers so that they are aware and they know that they need to focus on lower class just as much as upper class. And it can also be done by equally distributing teachers and resources to all people in a culture and not just the wealthy upper class. And so these are the three main ways in which English could be imperialistic and ways in which we can combat that if we decide to go teach globally. And so essentially, I agree that teaching English can be very imperialistic if it's gone about in the right way, and if the teachers are not culturally responsible, and if they're not promoting multilingualism and enhancing the local culture and making sure that it's available to everyone. But I believe that if a teacher goes about it in the correct way and is culturally aware in the ways that we have discussed, I believe that instead of it being imperialistic, I believe that English can be very empowering, and it can give people incredible opportunities to engage globally and just the chance to thrive in a way that they weren't able to before.